You with me, that's wonderful. Good. Let's see, Douglas. David. Find your places, folks. We are, believe it or not, we're almost on time. But I see other folks are still arriving. Would you like to sit in the front? Or just sit right here? I'll sit right here.
Well, I'll sit right here. This is good.
I'm probably just going to have to invite us in.
Here's some things.
I mean,
I like church where you sit to that. Seats in the front.
seats in the front, 5 or 6 in the front.
All right. Let's make it so. Which song is Tracy?
Well done.
Welcome, welcome, dearly beloveds. We're gathered here today to celebrate the life of Staci Anne Swedeen, who became, to my great good fortune, Staci Anne Swedeen Skelly. You already know there's nothing any of us can say that might capture or contain that bright soul who Staci was. So let us be, as Buddha said, a finger pointing at the moon and remember some few bits of one great life. What makes a life great? Is it bold achievements, saving the world, erecting monuments to Apollo or Aphrodite, accumulating fortunes, producing reams of offspring, serving as president or CEO, charting paths unseen to unimagined worlds? Or is it something much simpler? How much you touch and benefit the lives of others. Ultimately, how much you give away rather than how much you take. By such a metric, Staci Anne Swedeen lived a great life. My guess is almost everyone in this room can remember one or many times when Staci touched their lives, and always to give comfort, beauty, meaning, inspiration, hope, strength, courage, and of course love. Staci was very good at loving. She did it naturally. She didn't have to try, though try she did all her life to grow ever better in the art of loving. And therein is perhaps her greatest inspiration to us all. So, as we get started, I want to just acknowledge some contributions that have come from wonderful friends afar and near. Our friend April Dubik, Staci's oldest friend. We had a picture of like when you're 3 years old sitting on the porch together. April turned into a magnificent, beautiful singer and has sent us some songs, which Doug, my dear friend and our audio engineer, is going to play here the first one in a moment. And there are others to thank, and I will do so as we go. But here's a song for Staci from April. April came to be with Staci in the last few days of her life in the home out in Vancouver, Florida. And we have another friend who's a composer, British composer. His name is Lawrence Ball, and when he heard what had transpired, he said, I want to compose something. So he composed 3 short pieces for piano. We're going to listen to them this morning. First one. sublime, isn't it? Lawrence titled that Resurgent. Well, there are probably every one of you who could stand up and tell us a story or tell us something about Staci. In fact, over the course of the last month or so, when I ran into you, I probably asked you to do that. And so there are probably a dozen of you who are out there with something special. And just to keep a certain random spontaneity in things, I decided that rather than schedule all that out, that we would have a couple of periods of time during this celebration of life, which is what Staci wanted, to just ask those of you who have brought something to stand up, come on up here to the front, and take your allocated moments and share that with us. So,
Can I start?
yes, you may, please.
Because if you're interested to be older.
Oh, okay, but loud enough that everyone can hear, and your best theater voice, our dear friend Anne, that she can belch when she wants to. So this is the time.
Staci and I were actresses in New York City. I met her very early on in the 80s. We were in an acting class together. And that's not the story I want to tell, but just to give you a little basis. At some point in the 80s still, Staci came to stay at my house briefly. She was doing a tour of Annie, playing the villainess in the orphanage. I just had her yet. Hannigan, okay. And she was perfect for that part. She and the villain had a dance number, sung a dance number together. And, anyway, she had sublet her apartment, which she called the hovel. And indeed, it was a hovel. It was very cozy. The bathtub was in the kitchen. The bed took up the whole bedroom, but it was nice, you know. But she had sublet it, and actors will sublet, you know, when they go on tour. But she had a hiatus over the 4th of July weekend, and she came to stay at my house. I had been painting and wallpapering my bathroom, so I was very stiff and sore. And in order to pay me or somehow give me some recompense for letting her stay there, she offered to give me a massage. And Staci was quite a massager. It really hurt. But I felt a lot better when she got done. And I was thinking today about how that was kind of the roots of one of the plays she wrote called Diary of a Mad Masseuse, which is very good, very good. But anyway, so during that time she got invited to a party over the 4th of July weekend up in Westchester County, which was a very nice place, north of the city, so you're getting out of all the apartment buildings. And I was waiting tables at the time. 4th of July was a good time to make money, so I was waiting tables. She went off to the 4th of July party, and she came back that night and she said, Anne, I met someone. Oh, that's nice, you know. And she said, no, it was someone that I really feel like I could work on a relationship with. This was not a little girl, this was a woman who knew that she, needed to have a partner. And turned out that partner was Chris. And the rest is history. So I met Chris shortly thereafter. They got engaged and got married.
Story to be reminded of. We were engaged 9 days later. A 9-day engagement and then 35 great years. Here's a picture of the most beautiful woman in the world at our wedding the next May. Thanks, by the way, to the Gentry Griffey folks who put that together. And some more. There are several of you. Who's next? Randy, come on up. My all-time go-to bud, fishing friend, and 12 other things too.
And I see the fish whisperer is with us.
I
I've known Chris and Stacy for about 10 years. I met them on a trip in New York City. Barbara and I were up visiting some friends, and we decided Barbara had met Stacy before just briefly. But, we called Stacy and said, well, let's just drop over and stop over for a cup of tea or lunch. And we went over and we had lunch, and it turned into an afternoon, and then it turned into dinner. And we really hit it off with Chris and Stacy. So they ended up moving from New York City down to here in Baton City, and they're only about a mile from us. And I guess since that time, we've really been best friends, and we've taken a lot of really cool trips together. We traveled to Europe and Scotland and Baja, Mexico. We did the Mediterranean last summer. So Stacy was really the perfect travel companion. She was really an easy person to travel with, lively, a lot of fun. On our trip, she was really game for anything except for camping. And Barbara and I did a little camping at one time. Would you be interested in doing some camping? And she said, when I go on vacation, my standard of living goes up. Stacy always had the largest suitcase in the group. Suitcases. And she was always dressed like she was ready to walk onto the runway or onto a movie set. We looked like tourists. All her scarves on and her trademark, big fluffy hats. She also had the largest collection of sunglasses that I've ever seen. And when we were on the Mediterranean trip, she had a really campy pair that had hearts on them. One thing that always struck me about Stacy is she always really kept a lively conversation going. And whether it was something she had read in the Times or the New Yorker, or her stories about being up in Washington State or LA or New York, she always just kept a really good conversation going. And we used to go over for dinner parties, and she and Chris liked to entertain a lot. And whenever the conversation would lag, she used to get out her famous conversation jar. She had a glass jar that had little bits of paper, and there were little things written on the paper, and she would go around the table, and you'd have to pick one. So you find yourself giving a talk about the best and worst Christmas you had ever had, crazy uncle. And she was able to really draw conversation out of people that sometimes were really kind of quiet and shy. So it was really pretty interesting. Best of all, she was a good listener. And she always gave her full attention. And I had some friends give me a card that really reminded me of Stacy, and it said, the loss is immeasurable, and so it's love.
Someone else? We've got 12 or so we're going to do 4.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Okay. What? Okay, that's fine.
Now, this is not your main
He's
event.
going to cue us.
That's a whole event of its own. We're going to have a theatrical performance. That's going to be the highlight time here. So, Nancy, Stacy's great friend and mine too, from Seattle over decades and decades.
Yeah, since Anne qualified that she met Stacy at a theater, I will tell you that I met Stacy. I'd actually met her before by a couple of years, but we became friends as we were both painting the set for a play that we were in. And that was in 1969. And I was older than Stacy, and the first thing I said to her was, I know you've been flirting with that guy, but do not date him. 4 years. Anyway, I believe that Stacy's greatest attribute was her ability to form and maintain friendships. I called her a super connector. Ernestine, the telephone operator portrayed by Lily Tomlin, reminds me of the way that Stacy would tug people in and let's get this together and let's have a party. And my speech just went south. Oh well. I'm not used to technology. There we go. And Stacy plugged people into one another, sharing her friendships far and wide. Wherever she went, she'd come home with all the contact information from people, and she never let it languish. In her address book, she kept contact with everyone when the opportunity arose. She introduced her friends to one another. She loved to entertain, if for no other reason than to connect people and watch their behavior for her plays. And I treasure the many friends that I have through her over the years. And I was trying to count, and I think it may be a majority of the people I've remained friends with I met through Staci. She had the ability to engage and focus that made you feel like her best friend. Thus, we all get buttons. In fact, I think she only had best friends. Her ability to be present, authentic, and open allowed her friendships to flourish and all parties to grow while having a great time. And over the years, we had many growth experiences together. Not always pleasant, but they were growth experiences. And she would help me get the best part of it out. I've been fortunate to have celebrated 50 years of friendship with Staci as of last September. And what I found is that length of time does not reflect the value of her friendships. It was always about the connection, love, growth, and joy. Well, I miss her profoundly. I have so many connections and friendships that continue and are due to our beautiful beloved Staci. I thank her for the role in her life and for the role that everyone she introduced me to. Please.
Maybe one more, and then we'll be on to another beat. Someone who brought something.
Live in the sunshine, swim in the sea, drink the wild air. Ralph Waldo Emerson. He's coming. She summoned him. That quote inspired a play that was I commissioned Staci to write for a group of students at ACES Educational Center Spirits in New Haven, Connecticut, where I chair the theater department. And my name is Ingrid Schaefer, and I think I've had about a 20-year friendship with Staci over the years. When Chris asked me to speak a few words about Staci, I was, of course, honored, but then thought, oh my God, how can I capture in words the amazing Miss Staci? And then Chris tried to calm me down and said, well, Ingrid, find the gem. The gem, I thought. One gem. But there are so many gems. I gotta call Staci. Because Staci always listened, always reflected, always gave good advice, and always made me laugh. And because she was a damn good writer and actress. Staci helped all of us find the truth as we navigated the waves of the sea. She felt passionate about inspiring young budding artists to find their voice, to drink the wild air. Later, when she and Chris moved to Knoxville, she made the long car ride every year to continue her work with our students at ECA. She created our new play festival, and I'm happy to say that new play festival, which goes up every year, will now carry her name. The Staci Swedeen Quick Play Festival, and the first one will happen this May. So to the gem, I have a time limit too. One of the many devised pieces Staci helped to create and was instrumental in its success was called the Education Project, How We Learn. Because of its enormous success in Connecticut, we were asked to present at the National Magnet School Conference in North Carolina. This was about 10 years ago. Staci and I, mostly Staci, created a dynamic interactive session with an intricate PowerPoint, embedded video and music, and we were riding a wave and we could not stop. I had placed everything on a flash drive, that much I could do. But we were both worried about, what technology would be at the conference, and was it a Mac or a PC or an adapter? What was the format? Oh, we were a mess. Well, I was anyhow. Hopefully all would be okay. When Staci sent me a text that she had arrived, I opened the hotel room door to see Staci pulling this massive cart with her desktop computer, speakers, monitor in a huge box, and she yelled down this long hallway, "Greetings, Miss Ingrid! I thought I'd bring my desktop just in case." That was Staci. Always ready, always full of energy, always committed, always with a sense of humor. Staci also was a straight shooter. And knew where she stood on any issue from art to politics, kind and sensitive, wise and intuitive. She made a lasting impression on all those who met her. She mastered the art of making an entrance, tall and beautiful, with large, insightful eyes, and sometimes wearing these crazy sunglasses. She was dramatically dressed and surged into a room like a wave, creating life, happiness, and love, fully interested in you, and always in the now, living in the sunshine. She swims in the sea, still today, and encourages all of us to drink the wild air. I love you, Staci. We love you.
Drink the wild air. Well, I guess you can imagine what it was like to do theater with Ingrid and Staci together. Pretty exciting. And indeed, ECA Magnet School was a very important part of Staci's life. I know, because we talked about it often, and she would go off almost every year, and we would invite her and teach a local class. I got to go to some of the performances. So, well, there'll be more time for what we were just doing. I thought that was amazing. But to Miss Anne.
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger and endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower and the soul afraid of dying and never learns to leave. When the night has been lonely and has been too long, and you think that love's only for the brave and the strong. Just remember, in the winter, far away, the bitter snows lies a seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the
All right, ladies, it's time.
There come the ladies.
When people used to say, well, how do you get on with everybody down there in Tennessee? Aren't they all rednecks? I would say, well, you know, actually, not our friends. I mean, because our friends are the pagan shaman ladies. Men who are lucky enough to hang out with them.
Staging.
She would appreciate that.
We have a reading today. And the reading is You Are My Sister. And it was written by Jean Shale and revised by Donna Pauline and has great history in our circle. You are my sister because we were born of the same spirit, conceived from the same mound of earth, slept quietly together in the cradle of unknowing, until she, in her gentleness, set us in the midst of humanity.
You are my sister. I love you.
You and I are destined to be the companions on the highway of life, together or apart.
You are my sister. I love you.
If in the color of my skin, my size, or my age, I'm different from you, it doesn't matter. Only let the beauty of our souls be kindred. I will honor your wisdom and understanding as you will mine. Together we will seek the seeds of truth in all the realms of the great goddess. We will wear the reflections of inner knowledge as beauty upon our faces.
You are my sister. I love you.
I will be human and fall down in rough places, but your hand is near mine. I will reach for it. I will not be alone. I will embrace you when the rains of sorrow visit you. I will befriend your soul as if it were my own.
You are my sister. I love you.
If the wheel turns so that my death removes me from the light of this life, and I cross the veil to the other world before you, I will remember you. My eternal being will be waiting for you to walk with you again in the meadows and the groves of the goddess.
You are my sister. I love you.
This is a chant we're going to sing 3 times through. It's very simple. It's very short. It was important in our circle. The number 3 represents the maiden, the mother, and the crown, 3 stages of womanhood.
forgotten words. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain, flowing to the ocean. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain, flowing to the ocean. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain, flowing to the ocean.
perfect for Staci, but a real work of musical genius. And this is, one second, Lois. Gentry Griffey, who were wonderful in this process, made a slideshow. Gave them the images and captions, and they put this together and thank you to everyone who helped to make that and put it together and to bring the equipment and thank you. I noticed you all liked one of my favorite pictures in there. Actually, two of them are the Cat Queen of Kotor and the portrait with Jenny, Staci, portrait of Jenny, which Staci painted. And that lets me tell you all that there is, for everyone, maybe one per couple, copies of this DVD with all the images, just what you just saw. They're all on the back table. Welcome to take one and enjoy it. And our dear Pook made the most wonderful cover and spine for it, so they turned out to be works of art. And you will also find back there a whole mess of these, and those are for you. Take them. Carry on. I guess I have a few remarks to make. From Sonnet 18. I hope I can do this. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this kid's life to be. The beautiful Staci Anne Swedeen, who became Staci Swedeen Skelly, was born in Mount Vernon, Washington, not too far from the tulip fields, into a family both functional and deeply dysfunctional. Functional in that great love grew between many of the family members and still persists, or persisted long, particularly between Staci, her mother Florence, her brother Steve, and her nephew Trevor, who is the apple of her eye and mine, and right now just begins a long career as an anesthesiologist, taking people's lives into his hands on every shift. And that family of Staci's was also dysfunctional, alcoholic, broken apart, drug addicted, self-destructive, and today is fragmented and deeply broken. In the classic model of the alcoholic family, one child plays the acting out role, one child is the hero, and one is the lost child. Staci was that lost child, leaving home young, traveling to New York to build her own career in theater, which came oh so close to breaking into the big time, but never quite did. And Staci found a new family in New York beginning on July 4th, 1984, in Dobbs Ferry, when she and I met at a Shakespearean actors party. We were engaged 9 days later, and on the 10th day, I took her to the airport to leave for and move to Los Angeles and try her hand at theater there. I followed her shortly, and we lived one free and joyous year in Northridge, California. Then we moved back to the hovel, a tiny apartment, 5th floor walk-up in the village, with a rooftop that became my doghouse when I had crossed some seen or unforeseen line. In a stroke of stunningly good fortune, we bought a home in North Tarrytown, New York, and lived there for 26 years, most of which were grand and glorious, and a few of which were painful and troubled, mostly by my own alcoholism and acting out. But we survived, pressed on, bought houses, built a fortune, small but ample, worked together, and with a gang of comrades changed the name of North Tarrytown to Sleepy Hollow. The only real contribution to the history of the world And then came 2008, the Great Recession, and our project became Escape from New York. Staci said, I want to go where we have community. And I said, you mean Knoxville? And so we did. Into adventures here, in theater, great new friendships, some loss and heartache. And in the building of a small real estate empire of 12 homes and 11 tenants, each single home a jewel, and every tenant one that we treat with dignity, kindness, respect, and as members of our own special clan. We bring them tomatoes, and they leave cookies with the rent. In 2018, we fulfilled a life dream and bought a beautiful home on Norris Lake, which many of you have visited and which all of you are invited to visit. Staci had a sign made, Christopher and Staci's Lake House, established 2018. And so it will always be. I do not know how I can be there without her, but she is sure that you and I will find a way. 1 month later, Staci was diagnosed with stage 4 metastasized GI cancer, and we began treatment for her in December 2018. For 1 year after her diagnosis, we enjoyed life together and greatly, and took a trip of a lifetime with Barbara and Randy, and saw great wonders in the ancient world. Staci bore up well. And then the hard times really started, only some months ago. And that has brought us to this day, when we gather to share and celebrate her life, and all the love and beauty she brought to all of us in her yet too short lifetime. Many tears were shed for her, and many more will fall. Before we all come to our own rest, as surely we will. Staci wrote plays, beautiful plays, funny plays, deep plays. Many have been produced and seen. Some of the most profound and beautiful have never been seen, only read in staged readings. Such is the life of a playwright. Mamas, don't let your children grow up to be playwrights. It's an old rock country song. Her most poignant play, the one-woman show called Pardon Me for Living, about her life and death experience at the hands or mouth of one very rabid raccoon, many of you have seen, and you know what a tour de force it is. At the end of Pardon Me, the playwright summarizes her insights throughout the harrowing experience and long recovery. Live while you live. Live while you live. And that became her and my motto for every day and for life. You fill it with your own meaning. One night we went swimming in the Galaxy. We owned a small home on a little lake in the Catskills. One dark, clear night in August, the galaxy and stars shone in the sky above and reflected themselves in the dark water below. Let's go swimming, Staci said. And we swam out into the lake, finding ourselves surrounded by stars, above and below, stars everywhere. We came back to shore, warmed ourselves in the hot tub, and Staci said, let's go again. And so we swam back out into the galaxy and wondered at the beauty and the wonder of all and everything. I don't remember exactly how many times that evening we repeated this dance, from the warmth of the hot tub out into the galaxy and back. But I will remember this night, and I think Staci will too, as perhaps the most beautiful night we have ever experienced. There are too many stories to tell, and too little time to tell them all, so I will tell you just one more. We have been blessed to have lived with 4 great cats, whom many of you have known and some of you have cared for in our absence. The second of those cats was named Cool, or Mr. Cool, as we came to call him. And oh, we loved Mr. Cool. And then one day, Cool was lost, gone, nowhere to be found. We put up posters, walked the street, talked to everyone, and found nothing. Days went by, then a week. And finally, one night I sat weeping in the living room and thinking to myself that Mr. Cool was really gone. Staci said, I'm going out one more time. She walked the neighborhood calling out, and just when she came to the end of her walk, she decided to walk off onto another small side street beside our house, behind our house, one last time. She called and called, and then, to joy and great amazement, heard a call back from the closed and locked door of the neighbor's garage. Staci practically tore that garage and burst back into the house, exclaiming, more years of loving. And in her arms was Mr. Cool. Only her tenacity, her persistence, Her indomitable spirit kept her going late into that night, and I will always think of her for that alone as a heroine for that amazing rescue of our beloved. The spotted hawk swoops by and accuses me, says the poet Walt Whitman. He complains of my gab and my loitering. And so it is time to bring this story of Staci to a close, and to thank you all deeply for your love for her and your great kindnesses over our lives, and this past year in particular. One thing is for sure, Staci had some darn right great friends. There's nothing else to say for me now, and some of you should have a turn to speak. So I will leave you with that one indelible meaning Staci left for all of us. Live while you live. Live while you live. Live while you live. So we have Lawrence's piece in Elegy, it's called. Like a good old-fashioned Southern church service, we still have a little while to go. And after that we get to eat, right? That's the way it works. And there are some more of you who have come and brought things to share. Nancy?
You can call me Nancy, and you can call me Staci's best friend.
Out in my ear.
And in this room full of actresses and actors, where's makeup when you need it? Staci and I were treasure hunters. We go to the beach and we look for treasures in the sand. And she would find shark's teeth. And I said, I've never found a shark's tooth. And she said, well, let me show you. And she got about 15. I said, oh, I didn't know that's what it looked like. And then we found treasure houses and tire houses we could bond. Sometimes Stacy would find the goodie first because she was taller than me. I got it. And sometimes if she thought I really wanted it, it would show up in my next birthday day. But my house, I'm not exactly a minimalist. But I like it. That Marie Kondo would go crazy in there. But all the treasures we found, and there were a lot, the best part of all was Stacy's friendship. That's the real story.
That says it all. The best treasure of all. Jenny?
I'm Jenny. Stacy and I always think we share jewelry, and if you know how, a lot of women know this, how jewelry clasps, necklaces, where one thing fits into another. That's how I felt about Stacy. Stacy and I somehow connected. Our paths just merged because we were both actresses that transformed into playwrights, where we had a little more control. We didn't have to wait for the message on our voice answering machine, like, do you have a call back? So now we could audition people and we could pick the actors. We shared every possible thing about playwriting, where I watched and somewhat directed the part of Me for Living at one point. She would write an artistic statement for me, which these contests and competitions constantly say, we want an artistic statement. Like, how do you write that? You know, like, oh, well, I see the sky and it makes me want to write, and you know, that motivates you. And she would edit them. And after I totally shocked by her diagnosis, every single second of my life was walking into a store and going, what can I send Stacy? What can I give Stacy? We were constantly on the phone, emailing, texting, and so every day, I thought I'll send her something every day. So I'd send a card, and I sent her watercolors. She had done some watercolors, so I sent her watercolors. I sent her a block of paper, how to do the watercolors. I didn't know that she did a watercolor of me. I did a watercolor of her. I did a portrait and had it framed and sent it to her. And I was so bereft of words, and so were two of her other very close friends in the New York area, Tina Howe, playwright Tina Howe, and Stephanie Carpel, who, this is a typical Stacy thing. She was part of what was called the Hudson Valley Playwrights Group, which meant we moved from Manhattan into the area of Rockland County in Westchester. And you felt like, oh my God, I'm away from New York. But there was this guy, Angelo Parra, he created this playwrights group, and that's how I met Stacy, and we got close. But Stacy, we had breakfast, and Stacy would be the one who took charge. And she would go, okay, let's go around, and everybody would say what's you know, what they're doing and how their career is going. But she was always, Stacy was in charge. And the most absolutely astonishing thing she did was, one of the playwrights was Michael Foley. And Michael Foley had a tragedy in that his wife died. She went into a hospital with a cold, and he ended up suing the hospital and winning. But it was very, very sad. And at the memorial for Francis, Stacy took over. I have friends that still say, I cannot believe what she did. She would call on people. She would say, okay, she just became master of ceremonies. So Michael said that he was going to do that and return the favor in a memorial that I'm going to put together for the state area, metropolitan area. But what Staci did, which was even more amazing, I mean, she can't get more amazing, but she did, her friend Stephanie was a widow. And so Staci introduced Michael, who was a widower, to Staci, who was a widow. And they got married. They're married. They got married. And Staci and I and Tina Howe are worship Staci. And we each wrote a poem. And I can just read one, two, or all three, but they're one is mine, it's 1.5 pages, and the others are like short. So, is that okay?
I guess you're going to.
Okay, this is mine. Because we didn't have words for our absolute heartbreak. All I knew was that science, nature, or the divine were bereft of the power to explain or make sense of how such boundless fields, hills, and mountainsides of candlelight could beam within and without one soul, so as to infuse every creature who wandered into her sphere with enhanced aliveness. All I knew was my most cherished of fellow passengers opened this world's gate, passing through at a stop I could not follow, yet left behind the echo of countless smiles. I knew there was somehow a magical child who adored life so fully it had no choice but to love her in return, knowing she was enchanted with a singular lack of the ability to hate. All I knew was that every living thing touched by her light felt it warm their faces and beat in their hearts, incapable of resisting her exuberance, excitement, her serenity and grace, her gifts so better recognized by them than by her. Hi, Miss Jenny, where did I catch you? You were where she set her heart, which was for you only. Not to disturb, never to coax one away, incapable of anything save giving. All I knew when she vanished was that we were visited by a child of glory and goodness and giving, a creature filled with bliss, giving to the earth roots, to the birds seed, to a cat caresses, to us a meal, a bed, a pot of coffee at first light, an ear, a wise slant, a memory of your clashes, a laugh and joy over your absurdities and triumphs, and time, her time, an embrace, fierce, tender, courageous, enduring. Now I believe I know. I know that as the path of days unrolls toward our horizons, tears may follow, but such impossible delight may enfold us at her welcome into the arms of a light beyond our understanding. All I know is life's secret whispered, see, love has no limit. I gave you her. You all were bathed in hope, a rare radiance, beautifully and so gratefully immortal. And this is Stephanie. Sometimes, flailing about in the war zone of my life, I think of you and realize how histrionic. I'm actually on a beach and have just lost my car keys in the sand. You're the one under attack, holding ground on your battlefield, the infusion center.
You who are magnificent at living, who seem to see it as a sacred duty to taste each moment like a ripe berry upon the tongue, cooking and writing and gardening and yoga-ing and walking and traveling and laughing and being beautiful, twirling in like Dinah Shore in your graceful, dramatic attire after working all day, filling my kitchen with the smell of IKEA's Swedish meatballs. Remember swimming to the other side of the lake or the small beach, or striding through the Rockefeller estate just to fill our lungs? You honor life, willing yourself through each uncomfortable moment, or giving up, finding strength later. Pain and weakness, nausea and doctors, waiting rooms and phone calls, depression and needles, fatigue and insurance claims. Does hope sit in the beginning of each new day? Or perhaps it enters in quietly after a nap? Can I send you some in a whispered song from my heart to yours? You endure, you endure, you endure. And this is the last one, which is Tina House. Though I met you as a student and am over 20 years older than you, I finally, Tina writes in uppercase letters. Uppercase letters, actually. Her emails to me are like, beep, beep. Though I met you as a student and am over 20 years older than you, I finally found the words to celebrate you. Because of the great light you cast and your uncanny relationship with humans as well as animals, I've never thought of you as being one of us. Somehow immortal with your writing, empathy, daring, strength, beauty, and wide smile. Your light will still be shining long after we're gone. So we gather to honor and thank you with gratitude, awe, and tears. Your Tina.
I made some futile attempt when I was setting this up to say things like, the chair allocates 90 seconds to the gentlewoman from Seattle. Well, so much for that idea. How can you say what you have to say for and about Staci in 90 seconds? Impossible. Well, you have a song.
beyond forever, you'll be mine. I know I never lived before, and my heart is very sure no one else could love you more.
That's April also playing the piano. Talent. Well, we have time for a few more of your testimonies. And Angela, your friend came down from New York.
I have reflected over the last, 2 weeks since Staci passed away, and thinking of what she meant to me. She was always, like so many people have said, she was somebody I could call. And no matter how messed up my life was, we were able to commiserate. It wasn't just one way. It was, I'm a visual artist, and we both would talk about how difficult it was to be in the arts, to have dry spells. And we coached each other. But the thing that really, I think, was unique was that she made meaning out of things. Like just pedestrian things or really heart-wrenching things. She was able to put it in a context that made sense. So it wasn't just tragedy, it was part of, she could frame it. And that was tremendously valuable to me. And I didn't have a chance to experience her in her various communities. It was almost pretty much Staci and I getting together or hanging out with Chris, coming and spending the night. And I always had this feeling, because Chris said to me recently, he said, Staci really loved you. And I always had the feeling, this person, this incredible person, loves me. It was almost like I couldn't believe it, like I didn't deserve it. But she saw through my flaws. And I don't have any words anymore. Thank you.
Maybe one more, someone who brought something? Gail?
I actually brought love. I've known Staci, I think probably 38 years. We were actors together in New York also. And then we were invited to be in the first directors unit at Terry Trevor Studio. And we were directors together for a minute. And then I went down the director's path and Staci went to the writing path. And I've had the absolute joy of directing Staci's school-length Three Forks many years ago when I moved to Florida, and probably, 5 or 6 of her short plays. I worked for a company in Miami. And then her dear friend Patricia Picker brought, oh my God, something that we all did together, mothers and daughters through playwrights' eyes. Patricia, you'd have to talk more about that. But Staci was such a magnificent Everybody said it. Everybody said it today, all of you. Such an incredible, magnificent spirit and joyous person, an incredible playwright and fellow artist and fellow human being on the planet. And I think I've been crying about this. First, I just continue. But I am filled with joy to be here and share this with all of you and see the faces that I've heard the names of, so many of you throughout all of our talks together. And I just want to say to Chris, it's a magnificent thing that you've invited all of us to share the joy of Staci Anne Swedeen Skelly, and I am just filled with joy to be here with all of you today, and thank you.
Well, I can sense that spotted hawk swimming flying about. So, I have a very short poem that I like. Staci. It goes like this. The rose is a rose and was always a rose, but now the theory goes that the apple's a rose, and the pear is, and so is the plum, I suppose. The deer only knows what will next prove a rose. You, of course, are a rose, but were always a rose. Robert Frost. Well, final prayer. Beloved Staci, now we do not say goodbye, but rather hello, and watch you well on your way through future times, to future lives and love and wisdom, family and clan and friends. You are part of us now, and we are part of you, always and forever, worlds without end. Love, you are love, better far than any metaphor could ever be. Love, you are love, and we are love with thee. So let's let the beautiful Shania Twain story with her magnificent love song.
Looks like we made it. Look how far we've come, my baby. We might have took the long way. We knew we'd get there someday. They said, I bet they'll never make it, but just look at us holding on. We're still together, still going strong. Still, you're still the one I run to, the one that I belong to. You're still the one I want for life. You're still the one that I love, the only one I dream of. You're still the one I kiss goodnight. Ain't nothing better. We beat the odds together. I'm glad we didn't listen. Look at what we would be missing. They said, I bet they'll never make it, but just look at us holding on. We're still together, still going strong. Still, you're still the one I run to, the one that I belong to. You're still the one I want for life. You're still the one that I love, the only one I dream of. You're still the one I kiss goodnight. so glad we made it. Look how far we've come, my baby.
I now know that she wrote that song for her husband of 30 years. Wasn't about a flash in the pan. So everyone, there's food, refreshments, CDs to take, pictures to take of Staci. Thank you all so much for being here. This makes a moment never to be forgotten. And there's a giveaway table. Come and browse and take something of Staci on the couch. That's what it's